I was diagnosed in 2009, stage 4 ovarian cancer, and I had a lot of surgeries. I had 5 surgeries in 2.5 years as a result of that. A hospital stay that was 5 weeks long. Ended up in a coma for a few days. It was pretty rough, pretty rough. But through it all, this journey has been very enlightening. I've met a lot of great people, unfortunately, all sharing the same experience, but I've met a lot of wonderful women and their families that have shared their stories and their lives and let me in. So that's been really a good thing about it. It's been rough. I had a recurrence 5 years ago, so that was a little rough, but got through that. I had a great support system of family, friends, sisters who helped me through it. The treatments were kind of grueling, but made it through, with, again, the support of others. And it just has been overwhelmingly enlightening is the best word that I can use for it. It's the whole from start to finish. It really taught me a lot, taught me how to slow down and enjoy the simple things and not sort of the small stuff. So it really has improved my quality of life, if that makes any sense at all. So, spiritually, emotionally.
And I am Jenn Swikowski, and I was diagnosed back in March of 2019 with stage 3C high-grade serous ovarian cancer. Had the typical symptoms that most ladies have. I very quickly after that, my doctor had got me in for my chemo, debulking surgery, chemo again, and I was declared NED for 11 months after that, and then had a reoccurrence. And after I had treatment for that, chemo for that, I was good. I took a break for a few months, and I was back there again. So since then, I've just been continuously different chemos. I am now on clinical trial number 3 that I'm going to be starting on Monday. So very hopeful for that because my doctor was very excited for the fact that there was 4 of them that I possibly was eligible for, which is a rarity that there's that many. But he told me recently too that there's a lot of new things coming around the corner, which makes me very hopeful. For myself, I'm hopeful for future. Hopefully we don't have too many ladies in the future with this because hopefully there can be something found to end this. But in the meantime, I'm glad to know that they're really focusing their skills on that. So I know I have a lot of good things to try out that can, have me here for a long time because I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon, that's for sure. It's been, I have to say, as much as I've had all these treatments, I've fared them pretty well. It's actually been a really good experience for me. And one of those things is that I found a new family, my Teal sisters, which it's wonderful ladies and families that I would never have met otherwise. Whether it be here, the next state over, across the states, it's just been phenomenal. And in that I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't. I've found my purpose with volunteering with NOCC. My family is in total agreement with me. It's just been wonderful between the volunteering, the meeting of all the different ladies and families, the support of my family and girlfriends and so forth has just been unbelievable. So I actually have to say, as awful of a disease it is, it's actually really brightened, enlightened, and enriched my life more than I would have ever thought. So I know for me, for the symptoms and signs, I really hadn't, it was kind of a slow thing because it was probably a matter of 6 to 7 months where it slowly started progressing to where I noticed the bloating where I thought this is really odd. I just had pants taken in because I had lost weight and all of a sudden everything is like changing around shape-wise. But it was that, then it was like a lot of the lower back issues, the horrible pain, but then it had all of a sudden it ramped up from going to the bathroom quite a bit too. By the time I finally had found out what I had, it was like within every 25 to 30 minutes, I literally was in the bathroom. It was insane. So that, and then the horrible abdominal pain to the point to where it was like, I was like bent over, horrible. And then it was the typical where they say that pain during sex. it was kind of like, what is going on? What is this? So yeah, just a lot of different things that kind of popped up that it's like, why is this, when literally a few months before that I had celebrated both my kids getting married and everything was great and nothing felt different. And all of a sudden, within this short span of time, you went from one thing to all of a sudden, like everything just flipped over.
Yeah. It was the same with me as well. It was like in a matter of, I would say, like months again. I had the bloating, and it got to the point where I was going to a party and my jeans weren't fitting. So I bought maternity jeans with an elastic in there so I could wear those and a big shirt to put over it. But it was terrible and I didn't understand why. And I had been to my family doctor like 4 times in 3 months, and he kept saying, "Oh, it's just gastrointestinal, and drink this and take that, and eat this." And I got to the point where I was so bloated I couldn't even eat anymore. I couldn't swallow. And that took me then finally to the emergency room when I had such abdominal pain as well that it was like, I got to do something. I was afraid that I had something like a bowel obstruction and that something was going to rupture and I would be in deep trouble. So I walked into the emergency room where I got diagnosed. But there was one thing you said.
Well, because even too with the eating where you felt like you were full all the time to where it was like you noticed that you were not eating as much and it's kind of like, this is odd. You know, it's like you'd be eating little things here and there, but it's like, my husband would be like, wait, you normally eat this much. And it's just like, I just feel like I can't eat anymore. Mm-hmm. So strange.
Yeah, it was very, very sudden. Again, just the onset was really, really quick, the progression.
Yes. Yeah. Because even when I went, that's what my husband finally said. He said, you couldn't even lay in bed. There was no comfortable way to even lay in bed. And that's when he finally said, you really need to go to so I went to my family doctor and he just went to feel my abdominal area. And he's like, if you're screaming like this, he said, you just need to go for a CT scan immediately. So, yeah.
My son was with me in the hospital, and it was just he and I. My husband had passed away 3 years earlier. My son was 18. We're sitting on the bed side by side, facing a team of 5 doctors when they gave me the news. And it was, I think someone else had described it. It was like a movie moment where everything just kind of goes white, and I can't hear anymore. I couldn't hear anything that they were saying. And I looked over at my son, and I just, in my head, I went, no, it's not taking me out this way. They had told me to go home and get my affairs in order. And I just looked over. I couldn't leave him an orphan at 18. His life was just starting. So right then and there, I set 3 goals. And it was, I wanted to see him smile because he'd smile through his, mouth, but not into his eyes. And his whole face wouldn't let him since his father died. So I needed to see him smile. I wanted to hold a grandchild, and I wanted to dance at his wedding, if there was going to be a wedding, for children. So those are my 3 goals, and they kept me going. And that's when I basically defied the doctors. They still are. I saw my surgeon, in fact, just the other day, just as coincidence ran into him, and he looked at me, he goes, "Oh my gosh." He goes, how long has it been now since your diagnosis? And I told him, and he gives me a big old hug. That man saved my life along with that team of doctors. But I was not expecting ovarian cancer. That was the furthest thing from my mind. So when I got that and then told to go home and get things in order.
Cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone ovarian cancer.
Exactly.
So for me, after my regular doctor had told me to go to get a CT scan, literally I took my lunch break, got back to work, and that was like a 20-minute ride. By the time I got back to work, the doctor was calling me saying, well, you need to leave right away. You need to go to the emergency room and get a biopsy. Thinking this is really odd. So it's a panic moment because he sounded panicky. He wouldn't tell me why. All he told me was he said they found a mass, but you need to get a biopsy done. You need to go to the emergency room. I'm thinking, this doesn't sound right. You don't just go to the emergency room for a biopsy. So I called my husband, panicked. He was horribly panicked. So, and it was on a Friday. So he met me at home. I had called my kids, just let them know. And then I called my sister and let her know as well. But I just told her she needed to tell my parents where I was going. So got there, and I hadn't thought, I really honestly didn't think past it. I just thought this just doesn't sound right. I mean, in my wildest dreams, I didn't think cancer, because later on that same night, my daughter even said, she said, Ma, she said, as soon as you said it, she said, I figured it had to be cancer. And my sister said the same thing, but we don't have it run in our families. So I never really thought of it. So to get to the ER, tell them, they, because the doctor said the results and everything will be there for them to look at. So they put me in a room in the ER, but not by anybody else's room. So I thought, well, this is kind of odd. And then the ER nurse or doctor came in and she said, can I ask you why you are here? And I told her what they had told me. And she said, well, this is kind of strange. And she goes, okay. She said, they sent your information? And I said, yes. So she went and looked at it. Me and my husband are looking at each other like, what is going on here? She came back, then she nearly is starting to cry. Mm-hmm. She goes, nobody told you anything at all? And I said, nope, they just told us to come here for a biopsy. Nothing. I think my regular doctor was afraid to tell me what they thought it was. He didn't want to be the one to give me the news. So the ER doctor looked at me and she kind of started crying and she said, I am so sorry to be the one that you actually had to come here literally for me to tell you that they're suspecting that this is ovarian cancer. Mm. So I just took a breath. I thought, okay. I looked at my husband and I said, I am so sorry. The reason I said that is for both of us, it's a second marriage. His first wife passed away from cancer. And I just thought, okay, when we got married, he'll never have to deal with cancer again because it doesn't run in my family, anything like that. He won't have to go through this again. And the only thing I could think to myself was, oh my gosh, this is so horrible for you. I am so sorry to have to put you through this again. And he looked at me, he's like, why are you sorry? I said, because you shouldn't have to do this twice. Mm. This is not fair. So she looked at all the information and everything, and I said, okay, so what do we do from here? Well, she said, let me give you a moment first. We looked at each other, cried, kind of cried a little bit and everything, but I just thought, okay, I got to get this together, because I'm not going to sit here and sob over this. There has to be a solution to this, whatever this involves. And that's what my husband said. He said, we will figure this out together. So she came back and I said, what do we do next? She said, I could have you stay here for the weekend. She said, there's nothing we're going to do for you, because she said, we have an oncology team, but she said, they don't work with us. And I said, well, there is no reason for me to stay here. I said, I have a comedy show I'm supposed to go to tonight with my kids. It was a Christmas gift. So I said, you know what? I said, it's okay for me to leave, right? I said, so I can still go out with my kids tonight. I said, because nothing's going to get solved here tonight. So, and I said, I'd rather laugh than sit around and be miserable. So that's exactly what I did. Unfortunately, I left my poor husband to be the one to have to tell my family. So he was the one that went and had to make the rounds. And I felt really bad for him because he told my parents. My sister knew because he had called her and told her. And he went over and met with all of them. And then I also have, from being married again, I have another daughter, which is my husband's from his first marriage. So he had to go tell her. So now it's her reliving this again with, a stepmom now. So.
And Jen, I just have to say, I don't really energize the morning because of all that she's been through, and as much as she's been through with the trials and everything. But, thinking of other people, immediately thinking of your husband and, thinking of your family. I mean, that just, that's amazing. I internalized everything. I went to myself first, and I'm like,
that's the one thing I didn't know, and that's what I just said. And I said, my kids came that night then. I sat and told them all, and then before we went, and I just said, you know what I said? So, they all went outside then after I told them. And I didn't know till like a year or two later how everybody actually responded outside, because everybody came in okay after that. And we laughed like it was a normal night, except for me running to the bathroom every half hour. And that's okay. That's okay. And I just said, but you know what? it's not going to take me out. I just said, whatever I need to do is what it's going to be. That whole weekend, my husband looked up, reached out to people that he knew that had been through cancer, people that worked for things. And he just said, first off, we know where we're going and this is what we're going to do. That Monday, I called University of Chicago. I was able to get in the next day. The chair of the department said he would take my case, took me in the next day, and I had all my tests and everything done. Within 2 weeks, I had my port in, and by the third week, I was already getting my chemo. He was like that. And so I March 29th, 2019 was the day I went, and they told me that I had it. I had my surgery in July 8th. Today was the anniversary
Oh, wow.
of the surgery, actually.
Wow.
Today's the surgery 4 years ago that I had my debulking surgery. And after that, I just said, whatever it takes. And I just thought after I had, because they told me I had responded so much better to the chemo and the debulking surgery and everything like that. I just thought, like, I didn't have to stay in the ICU after I had my surgery. They said, you're going to be in ICU. Didn't have to do that. Got out like 3 days earlier than they thought I would. Not that it was a cakewalk, because it sure wasn't.
Right.
Not charming by any means,
Yeah.
but when I thought, oh, gee, I went through the whole first thing and then I'm good to go, I thought, oh, okay. So when it came back, I was not a happy camper. I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. So, yep, just keep chipping away. Every time something comes at me, okay, fine, just what's the next course? And that's it. I was thankful to see 2 of my kids get married. I have 2 more kids I want to see get married. And now I'm here. I have a 4th grandbaby on the way. So I just said, between my husband, my family, my kids, my grandbabies, this is more than enough motivation to keep going. Mm-hmm. I have, that's what I said. I have decades of things I still need to see.
Right.
So I'm not leaving anytime soon.
Well, Jen and I are lifers.
Yes.
With NOCC.
Oh, yes.
I started volunteering like a year after my diagnosis, so like in 2010. I started volunteering, and slowly, gradually. And we joke about our manager, Karen, God love her. But she's, I'll put it nicely, she makes it very appealing for you to say yes to whatever she wants you to do. And she kind of like got a hold of me and Jen, and we're like on a lot of committees and teams together and whatnot. So we kind of like share that.
Oh, yes.
But it's just NOCC. I first learned of them, but they called it then Teal Totes, and now they're the Faces of Hope comfort kits. And I got one of those, and that's how I learned about NOCC and all of the programs that they did have. And at the time, it was more about awareness, and they've branched out a lot now, which I love, with helping women and their families and whatnot. But that's how I first learned about NOCC, and I liked that they were more about spreading awareness so that other women knew the symptoms and they wouldn't get caught like we did with the deer in the headlights kind of thing, like ovarian cancer we were talking about. And so they would be aware of the symptoms, and that kind of like became my mission to spread the word. So slowly and surely, I got more involved with NOCC, and I love everything that they do for survivors and their families and their caregivers. It's just a very well-rounded organization.
And I had actually gotten involved. My very first chemo session, we actually had my chemo nurse had given me at that time, Faces of Hope totes. And that's where I found the information. And it was funny because after I had my debulking surgery, I had said to my kids, I said, oh, it would be so nice. They have this Teal cruise that's coming up in September. And I said, it sounds so nice to go on to. So our kids surprised us with tickets for my husband and I to go on the Teal cruise, which was the start of everything. So that was wonderful to meet everybody there. And then actually a week later, I had met Karen Young at the fast food restaurant the week after. And I just said to her, I said, what do I need to do to let you know that I would like to volunteer? Oh, okay. I've got a few ideas for you already.
Well, you're right.
Oh, yeah. And so after that, I've been, Sue and I are in a lot of committees, and then, just a lot of fun things to do. And it's been really nice. Also, I like it because my family has gotten involved with a lot of things too, and they volunteer with a lot of different events that we do and so forth. But I think it was nice even during COVID that they made sure that we did the virtual walk. So a lot of us did our own family and friend walks and so forth. So it kept everybody in tune together. And but yeah, it's the awareness more than anything. But the new comfort for the soul, comfort for the mind is so important.
And the virtual, what they started, what they started during the pandemic was Zoom meetings for survivor support groups, which was an amazing thing because, here we are kind of like getting turned internally again, but yet having the Zoom meetings once a month, we were able to reach out to our sisters, and if we wanted to talk about something, we could, or just.
And it was good because they had a general group, which was for anybody diagnosed, and then ended up with another group, which was for late stage, which is stage 3 and 4. So they did that, it's amazing how you can be in a general group, but then you get to the late stage group, and there is a whole different set of issues. That it's so nice that now we have that to be able to share with each other too. And with that is very nice because we have a lot of ladies that we actually get to talk to and meet that are from across the country, not just a couple states over. So NOCC has really given us a lot and pulled a lot, done a lot for us. I really think there's so much to do.
And gave us a lot to do.
Oh yes, more than enough to do year round.
But keeps us busy.
It does, and it's great, and it is. Its bottom line is it's given us so many friendships. Oh. It's been amazing, absolutely amazing. Wouldn't trade that for the world. So that's why I said, unfortunately, it's not good things happen all the time, but in the end, it ended up doing better things than I think I would have ever have even thought of.
Well, so many more opportunities now than even the blinders are kind of on before, and now just so many opportunities for things to do and help other people.
Yes, and for us, even in our own different ways, to be able to spread the awareness to and educate people, ladies actually of all ages.
I would say, as soon as you feel up to it, reach out to the community for support. Reach out to other women who have been diagnosed as well. Learn to ask for help. That was a big thing for me because as women, I can do it. I'm fine. I can take care of it. I think that was part of the reason too for some of the late diagnoses is because we just push it down and go, I'm okay. It'll go away. So you need to reach out and ask for that help. If people offer to do something for you, say yes, thank you. And just again, get in the community with other women. You don't necessarily have to tell your story, but there's just a camaraderie. You have that awful beast in common, but it helps to be with other people that have the same thing as you.
And it is amazing because literally you could have never known the person before, and really when we get anywhere, you feel like you've known because you have such commonality now, unfortunately. But you feel like you're in a place that you belong. It's a different thing. It's like Sue said, make sure that you reach out because your family and your friends can offer to do different things. And they'll even say, though, we can do so much because we really, truly don't understand what you're going through. So you do need to look around for different organizations, for different parts of different help that you need even too.
And even if people, have been through cancer of a different type, no matter what it is, they could have gone through, chemo and surgeries and everything. It's just not the same type. A lot of us get treated with chemo the same way, or on trials, or the surgeries the same, and the side effects and the after effects. We kind of share that where it's a little bit different for us than it is for everybody else with different types of
things. So, and it is, and it's the reaching out, and like I said, it could be from being first diagnosed to just looking up the information to see about ovarian cancer, but look into organizations, just literally Google search it, because there's organizations even from getting wigs to scarves to people being able to write you cards while you're going through your chemo, different things like that, just to know that there's somebody that's thinking of you, of where you're at and what stage you're at. And don't think that it's handouts.
people are offering and have these different volunteer groups for reasons because they do want to help.
Yes.
Whether it's to educate you, to comfort you, or whatever, because there's all different facets that you're going to go through as you're doing this that you really don't realize you need.
Use the resource.
Yes, absolutely.
And say yes.
Yes, definitely do that. I have learned to do that, and I've learned that having, that everything doesn't have to be perfect, everything doesn't have to be the cleanest all the time, and, if you get to it, you get to it, if you don't, you don't. And if people don't understand, oh well.
It's not on them, not on you.